Yeah, 500,000 member growth. It just sounds like that's going to be like the easiest prediction. Hopefully, I'm not wrong. You got the stadium, which as the year wanes, it becomes more popular because the football season really ramp up. SoFi Plus membership, they really like focused the latter half of the year on making that a really cool product. So hopefully that differentiates their offering enough to where people understand it and they want to join. What is it? Options came out. I remember hearing a lot of people last year say that they would join SoFi as soon as they got options. Well, SoFi did. Hopefully that has some effect on Q4. Probably not a lot, but other than that, the APY is just industry leading. So there's just a lot of catalysts that really look like SoFi is going to be making a pretty big membership jump in Q4. Um, hopefully, this is the last time we go under 400, under 500,000 members per quarter. That'd be really cool.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at their trend of quarterly, like sequential growth quarter over quarter, I think just Q3, which is the last quarter that we're just coming out of, or that we just reported, that's the only one that's like underperformed the 10-11%
Mm.
bottom threshold. And so the reason why everybody's like, well, we're going to add 500,000, you're very confident about that, is because you just take 4.7 million, members, and then you just apply 11%, and you're over, 500,000 there. So the real question with regards to the member additions is, and similar story with products as well, right? If you just take the averages of the quarter over quarter increases and you apply those to what we can expect, you'll be sitting at around 520,000 members, and then somewhere around like between 730 to 800,000 products added. Obviously, that is if we're expecting a beat on numbers, which I think a lot of us, well, I think we all are. And that would put them to around, well, over 5 million members and around almost at 8 million total products, which I'd love to see them hit 8 million, but that's a little bit of a stretch. We'll see.
So I'll come out and say that I do not think we're going to get 500,000 members. I might be the only person thinking that. I don't know if they'll come close. But that's
And you're just
me.
saying that just to say that.
No,
just
I'm
to
not.
be divisive.
I don't know how anyone thinks that we're going to get above 500,000. Doesn't make any sense to me. So what I'll say is that we're guiding for 400,000, and a big conspiracy theory for everyone is that, well, we have all these additional features on top of it that will lead us above it. I think that they know that those catalysts were coming, like NFL season and all these things, and they're just going to cut spending. Like the Plaid CEO said, a lot of these fintechs are just going to be trying to hit profitability. If that's the case, they are going to cut spending as much as possible if they can still hit their targets on growth. So I think 400,000 is still going to be, I mean, obviously, I think more than 400,000, maybe 450, somewhere there. But I think once they hit around that target, I bet spending just got absolutely cut. Because that is really the metric that Wall Street is worried about. They're not worried about growth right now. They're worried about profitability. And I think that will be the absolute highest priority this quarter, and it's not going to be members.
So, quick question for you. So, like, do you really think like Noto isn't really prioritizing member growth? Because I have a sneaking suspicion that he isn't. Because I mean, so many people. Okay, so like what I heard recently is that in America, on average, people stick with their banks for at least 14 years on average, but their net promoter score is abysmal. Like only 33% of people, somewhere really far down low there, actually enjoy their banking experience. So maybe they don't really care about member growth because they know in the long term, as long as they build a good product, they'll get that member growth like catching like on fire. I think what they're really focused is just like the back end technology and the B2B or banking as a service platform. What do you think? It's weird to me that the company wouldn't be like super hyper focused on members, but I guess I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, how does this quarter separate itself from any other quarter? Like the net promoter scores on banks and people being unhappy with all the terrible fees and everything like this has happened since SoFi's been around. We touched 500,000 member growth one time, I think it was, and it was at the peak of our growth season. You know, whenever in Wall Street it was like growing at all costs. It's not that anymore. It's secure at all cost.
I think there is a big similarity though with the last time when we touched 500,000. The reason why the last time was exceptional was because the baseline of total members was so much lower, and so 500,000 to 3.8 million is much different than 500,000 to 4.8 million. But the last time when we touched it, we were in a similar situation with regards to the refinancing surge that was caused on by the moratorium. Now, the only thing about the last time was that the moratorium was essentially extended late in December. So literally everybody in that quarter refinanced because they all thought it was going to start back in January. Whereas this quarter, Biden came out with an announcement in the end of October. So you have a much higher, period of time where that refinancing surge would be much less comparatively. But I don't think it's going to be so much less that we won't even hit 10% growth or 11% growth.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to tell, right? Like, I don't know if the moratorium is going to be enough to bring on another 50,000 people or not. And if that's the case, like, are we going to see, 50,000 or 100,000 new members sign up for student loans on the first half of Q4? Like, I don't know. That seems like a lot. I feel like we'll probably get 2,000 student loans.
So let me ask you this. Do you think we're going to miss on any of the metrics, like top line, bottom line?
No, I don't think we're going to miss any more because of his purchases. Some people were trying to state that. I don't know why he would try to burn money throwing it into a market right before earnings. I feel like he would purchase after Q4 if that was the case. But I don't think we're going to see anything spectacular. I think it's going to be a really hard quarter, and we will give good enough numbers. And I'm perfectly fine with that. I think that's almost what I want to see. I want to see that our personal loan originations are not shrinking, because I don't want to see, like Chris Hager did this amazing post where he was talking about how, and I've always talked about this too, is that we were kind of pegged with Lending Club all the way up. And Lending Club always showed off their earnings first. And then it was a great indicator to know that SoFi was having a good quarter. And that was the way all the way till Q3 of 2022, last quarter. Whenever Lending Club reported bad earnings because of slowing growth, because they were worried about the market, and SoFi did not. They continued pushing forward. And that actually made us have a great market. And, into Q3, then we actually ended up seeing worse statistics because people got more scared, and now people are starting to put more risk on money. So we'll have to see. But yeah.
Could you let's show that chart that Chris?
I can do that.
Yeah,
I threw it up in the chat right here, Amit.
To add a color to what you're saying, that it is Upstart and Lending Club were originating way more loans than SoFi. And SoFi was just slowly getting up there, very stable, but both of which Lending Club and Upstart kind of had, I guess, some shaky last few quarters with everything. But SoFi looks to be like it's just continuing to go up. When do you think it's going to – how long do you think we can actually grow this?
So before that, before we go into like that, let's just explain this chart, right? Because it seems as though Upstart, which is in red, Lending Club, which is in green, both of them plateaued respectively in the first half of 2022. And since
this is only personal loans.
Yeah, personal loans. Since that time, they've been coming down, whereas SoFi has been gradually ramping up Q1, Q2, Q3, and that's expected. This is why Chris Hager in this chart is expecting SoFi to come up above Lending Club in Q4, essentially that blue bar to be above the green bar, if the trend continues where Lending Club continues to fall and SoFi continues to rise. I guess this is also supported by the fact that Well, it's also made more significant by the fact that SoFi's average FICO scores and average salaries are much higher. They're targeting like the very high end, very financially responsible users in terms of growing sustainably, which would make this all the more interesting chart. I mean, I had a couple of questions around this chart, particularly why do we think Lending Club and Upstart is
I was just
falling?
about to ask that. Why do we think Upstart's going down? Is it like bad publicity around the company?
No, no.
I'm
Is
not a big
are there
believer.
AI software algorithms not predicting loans the most accurate way, right? Like,
Just people stopped buying their product. Chris Hager went really in depth on this topic on my channel. So I can't speak to it, but I know it's not that their business model crashed. It's just not. It's a very targeted niche, and it's not profitable in this type of economic environment. But it will be as soon as there's some relief.
So Chris is actually in the YouTube chat. He said Lending Club already reported. I think they reported last week or 2 weeks ago. Only 2.5 billion in originations for Q4. So 2.5 billion would be even smaller than what SoFi reported in third quarter. So it's even under that blue line. So basically, all SoFi has to do is like maintain that same originations for fourth quarter, and they've already beaten Lending Club.
Well, yeah. See, that's the thing, right? Is that up until last quarter, and you can see here that Lending Club was a pretty good predictor of how SoFi was going to grow. Like we were both headed up, and then Upstart sort of depegged, and then Lending Club, and now is SoFi going to be able to continue to grow? And that's why there was this article that was just posted, like SoFi, the last lender standing, and that's pretty much what we're seeing here, right? Are we going to be able to continue to go out there? And I think we will. And mainly because of last quarter's earnings calls, Lending Club was very afraid. The whole thing, they were like, we really need to slow down. We're seeing lots of red signs, and that's just not what Noto is kind of putting out there. He's saying the opposite. We're hiring, still promoting their personal loans. So who knows? And then even that could be a bad sign. That means that we could put ourselves into higher risk, or he could be absolutely right and everyone else is over worried in a sense.
So presumably, could one reason why the originations for Lending Club and Upstart falling be because SoFi is just gaining, that market share, that
I don't think so.
Or am I just stretching it?
I think we own 5% of the personal loan market. Nowhere near enough where these companies are taking a bigger slice of the pie.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure out of the three, SoFi has the highest quality people by far. And then I think Lending Club just didn't hold their loans long. They didn't have that spring that SoFi has. I could be wrong though. Don't quote me. We should really have Chris on for this discussion. He's literally the resident expert. I'm sorry.
Chris, if you're still watching, by the way, you can come on if you want. I'm sure Amit will send you the link.
Yeah, I can do that right now.
Oh yeah, that'd be awesome.
What were you saying?
If he could. He's a busy guy. I know Lending Club. I could be wrong, but Lending Club doesn't hold their loans on their book for any sort of time. They just sell it immediately, or but SoFi holds for like 6 months.
I think it's the opposite. I think we hold to sale and they hold for maturity.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I want to go back to the member growth. Tannor, you think it's going to be, you're more conservative on this. Do you think there was not enough advertising done in Q4 to also justify 500,000 members? Or do you think people in general wouldn't be interested in Q4 for whatever reasons?
No. I don't think it's interest. I don't think it's interest at all. I just don't think it's marketing. I think they're cutting back to save on sales and marketing expense. And I think the interest is definitely there. And if not more, but then with more interest, that means that they have to spend less to still hit their targets. Well, and so they're going to put that, remaining amount to the bottom line.
I actually want to just push back on that, because I think with SoFi being very deliberate in terms of maintaining the high FICO scores, they can artificially boost member growth whenever they want by just lowering their FICO score threshold a little bit and just being a little bit more lax with their criteria. No?
I would say no, because our FICO scores are only for our lending partners. You know, that's a small portion of our members. The majority of our members are in money, invest, and these sorts of products where we don't track that. You know, like I was just doing this for an upcoming video, looking at average incomes for our users. Well, how do you do that, right? Because on lending, it's 160,000. Whenever you include money, invest, and all these products, they don't really track those numbers. So it's kind of hard. And I'm trying to find out a system to try to ballpark that number, but it's tough. It's definitely lower, right? Because we reject 70% of the applications for lending, for personal loan lending and everything like this, because other people just don't qualify. So those 70% of people are already SoFi partners that potentially don't have the FICO scores or don't have the income. And so I don't know if that necessarily, they correlate member growth to lending products.